Hey everyone, I'm Ben. I've known Katie for a while now, since the beginning of college, and I'm just here to talk about something, I guess.
Ben was unlucky enough to end up my next door neighbor the first day of college. So we've had many adventures since then. But I thought we'd talk today about making and some of the things that you've created in the past in engineering and just the things that bring you joy.
Yeah, totally. This is actually a good moment to do that because I'm sitting in my childhood bedroom right now, and I'm surrounded by this is sort of where I stashed a lot of the stuff that I would make and then wouldn't really have room for in my college dorm or whatever. So I have a couple pieces around, and we could look at some of them and talk about them or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah.
Let's see. So this is one that I thought was kind of funny looking, fun to see. This is I really never gave him a name, but he probably should have one. Um, it's a binaural microphone. Sorry, go ahead.
His name is now Pablo.
Pablo. Okay, yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. Um, what's interesting about Pablo is that he has ears that are actually a lot more detailed than the rest of him. They're 3D printed from a 3D model of some corpse that I found on the internet. And it was some sort of biomedical engineering project that was 3D mapping corpses, which I thought was kind of cool. But it let me get this ear, and I 3D printed it with a slot in there. You can see that black dot right there. That's a microphone. So I sort of cut out material on the inside and put a microphone in there. And there's a microphone in both ears, and they're wired to a little, audio recording setup in there. And why this is interesting is basically if you record instead of with just a usual microphone like you might have on your phone or at a stage or something like that, if you record with microphones in ears in a head, the sound that you get out of that takes on a very three-dimensional quality. And you can actually listen to recordings that have been recorded with this binaural audio if you go on YouTube. I think one of the more popular ones is called a virtual haircut. So you can type in virtual haircut and they'll basically play an audio clip that you'll want to listen to it on headphones. But basically they record it with a microphone like this, and they snip some scissors around the head and you can hear where the scissors are positioned in 3D space. I think they put like a little plastic bag on the head at one point and you feel all muffled just like you would if someone put a plastic bag over your head. And anyway, I built this thing for why did I build this? It was an electronic art class at Stanford. And I had an idea for how to superimpose soundscapes to get like a 3D combination in multiple different places and create this interesting audio experience.
So where did you leave him?
So basically what I did was, I think Katie's heard this story before. What I did was I took this head and I left it around campus in different places with interesting sort of sonic landscapes. And this type of recording is very cool because it doesn't just capture people's voices or the normal things you'd be listening to. It's very good at capturing sort of the 3D qualities of a space. So if you leave it somewhere that's outside and has a very open sound stage, you'll sort of be able to hear that when you play back the recording. If you leave it somewhere very confined or echoey, that you'll be able to hear that as well. So what I was going to do is just basically leave it in places that had very different soundscapes, and then when you juxtapose them, you get this very disorienting, listening experience. And a couple of the places I picked, I left it in the men's restroom in an unnamed building for a while, which I think is actually not strictly legal probably, but I don't know, let's just not tell anyone about that. And I left it in study halls, I left it in the library, left it outside. It actually got taken by cleaning staff at one point. And I have had a great recording at the time of them all like being like, what the hell is this thing? This is the weirdest thing we found in the bathroom all week. So that was fun to listen to. I managed to get it back from the lost and found just fine. But yeah, it was a fun project from both the engineering standpoint, getting this stuff to work, and then also from the sort of deployment side of things, collecting the sound and putting it together. Spent a lot of time listening to it.
I love that. And so when you combine I guess the audio, right? So did you have like, soundscape from the grass outside in one ear and then soundscape from like a building in the other ear? Or how did you mix the channels, I guess?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think so. If you had divided it up into one ear gets one ear gets the other, that sort of defeats the point of this binaural thing. Because really, how this works is it sort of gives you the audio in both ears in the same way that you would normally hear it with your own ears. And it has even these little ear shapes to sort of reflect the sound, just as your own ear normally would hear it. So what you do is when you juxtapose them, you really just put them right on top of each other. So you have left ear recording 1 on top of left ear recording 2, and right ear recording 1 on top of right ear recording 2. And with a little bit of like volume balancing, just to make sure that maybe bird calls aren't getting totally drowned out by people talking in a study session or something like that. You get something you can listen to, and is pretty enjoyable.
Oh my God, I love this so much. We could talk about this for hours. So, but
Totally.
other than Pablo, what else do you have in your fun little prop house?
While we're on audio, I have this beast that I spent probably 200 hours on in 1/4 trying to make this thing. I call it the Keepacitar. I made it for a music instrument building class. I've always had sort of a thing for guitars because I played piano as a kid, and I'm pretty good at the piano form factor, but I listen to a lot of guitar music now. So, guitar is like the nerdy way for a keyboardist to get some of the guitarist glory. But honestly, they're pretty lackluster in a lot of ways because, you really don't have the same control that a guitar has. You don't have, you don't have this continuous control. You can't have sort of a gritty tone. You're still limited to the keyboard sound. So what I tried to do for this class was build an instrument, this thing, that would basically give someone who was able to play piano the ability to play music and sort of get a little bit into something that sounds more like a guitarist when it comes to tone and control. So basically, do you want me to explain what this is here? It's not immediately obvious, but basically this is a wooden piece. And you can see that this is a note, it's sort of laid out like a piano keyboard. So that's a key. This is a key. This is one of the black keys. That's a white key, black key, white key, black key, white key, white key. So basically, if you know how to play piano, you can sort of, tap out melodies on that sort of shape. And why do we have all these little, sort of checkerboardy looking things here? That's a laser engraving that sort of it's actually set a little bit into the surface there. So the dark spots there are sort of recessed, and that means when you tap it, you can get here. I'll just try to. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but you can get a tap sound. You can also get a cool sort of ratchety scratching sound.
Yeah.
That's because your fingers going over the inlaid parts and the high parts. Why is that interesting? Why are we doing that? Basically, the idea is that underneath this board is a capacitive keyboard, kind of like what you'd have in your iPhone. It's like the same sort of touch sensor. So what this device can do is it can tell which note you're tapping on. So maybe you're tapping on the C. It'll know you're playing a C note. But what does the tap do? The tap is fed into a piezoelectric microphone that's located, I think there's actually 2 of them in here, but it's fed into a microphone that sort of picks up just the sound of you touching the wood. And depending on how you touch it, it basically feeds that interesting sort of continuous weird signal into the machine's algorithm and basically uses that sort of shape. Maybe it's a scratching shape or a tapping shape as the pluck for a virtual string. So this whole thing has a bunch of electronics in here, and those electronics are running basically a model of a guitar string in a language called Faust. And this guitar string has a length that's controlled by the key that you're pressing. So if you're pressing a C key, the guitar string has like a C length. Normally on a guitar, you control that by pressing down on a string with your left hand, and that changes the length of the string. And then the pluck of the string is controlled by what the microphone hears you doing here. So by doing that, you get both the sort of gritty pluck of the guitar. You can change that a little bit, or get sort of different types of excitations to it. And you can also get the note you want.
So thank you for telling us all of the behind the scenes magic behind this, but unfortunately we're out of time. So
it's just 10 minutes?
Oh yeah. So thank you for your conversation, and I always love learning about the things you're working on.
Sorry for just monologuing there, but happy to talk more about it whenever.